What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and this video is to talk about Danny Miracle Man Jacobs versus Sulecki. You know, it was a good fight. You know, it was a really good fight. It was a real competitive fight. Sulecki, you know, was actually the bigger guy in this fight, because he fought a few times at 168, which is the super middleweight division. And he came in strong, you know what I mean? He came in, you know, behind the jab. He was catching Danny with those right hands, which Danny really, I don't think he really adjusted to, you know, because he was getting caught with those rights where, you know, I feel that he should have been more aware or cautious of the right. You know, the guy was 26-0. So he was an undefeated fighter. So it was an impressive win because, like Max Kellerman said, he was able to, you know, take it up a notch. You know, Danny Jacobs, he was able to, you know, go above and beyond, you know, when it came to a certain speed in there, you know, so he was able to, you know, get with Sulecki. Sulecki was a game opponent, but he started to, you know, he really started to drag in about the 5th, the 6th, the 7th round. You see, you know, the power of his punches, his punch output, you know, lighten up a lot. And again, this guy really wasn't a puncher. You know, had he been a puncher, Danny Jacobs would have been in trouble. You know what I'm saying? So, but one thing you have to say about Danny Jacobs, he's a classy guy. He fights the people that, you know, that I guess will step in the ring with him. You know what I mean? He's, you know, he's like our modern day Sugar Ray Leonard. You know what I'm saying? He's not that trash talking guy. He's a well respectable guy, real cultured. You know what I mean? He has a love for his community, which is Brooklyn. He's from Brooklyn, so he was fighting at home. And you know, this is the second guy, you know, that he fought that was undefeated. So, you know, at the end of the day, you know, he's taking O's and getting M's. You know what I mean? So he's you know, he's making undefeated guys defeated, and he's getting $1 million a fight to fight. So that is impressive. And in the knockdown really pretty much sealed the deal. If there was no, you know, if there's anybody in there that was saying that, oh, well, I think he should have done more. You know what I'm saying? He really had a classy performance, and, you know, he was doing a lot of old school stuff in there too. You know, Danny Jacobs. Danny Jacobs, you know, he still has things he needs to work on. But he's a totally honest fighter. You know what I'm saying? He's the type of fighter that, you know, if he feels that it's something he needs to work on, he doesn't have problems critiquing himself, and that's really big. You know what I'm saying? And with fighters, because a lot of fighters, you know, would tell you, oh, it was this, it was that, this was the reason, instead of what the real reason was. You just didn't use the jab like you're supposed to. You know what I mean? So, yeah, Danny Jacobs has always been a stand-up guy, and I've always been a fan of him. The question is, what does he do from here? Where does he go from here? You know, I've heard the Eddie Hearns, you know, stuff about, you know, BillyJoeSauders, you know, and BillyJoeSauders, and, you know, the way he explained it, it made a lot of sense, you know, and I agreed with it. And he stated that, you know, Danny Jacobs, you know, if he came over and challenged BillyJoeSauders for the WBO belt, which BillyJoeSauders is waiting for Golovkin, of course, like everyone else, or Canelo, like everyone else. You know what I'm saying? Everyone, you know, these guys, they have the worst problem of trying to target certain people without seeing other options out there, you know. But, you know, what Eddie Hearns was saying is that they don't have the money to pay Danny Jacobs to come over to England, you know, because BillyJoeSauders is a champ, but he's not a star, and it makes a lot of sense. Billy Joe Saunders, yeah, from bona fide boxing circles know who Billy Joe Saunders is. But, you know, for the most part, he is like a champion, but he is a little known guy. You know what I mean? Especially outside the boxing circuit, especially out those particular locals. So, you know, it would be, you know, unless Danny Jacobs wants to put his, and it ain't a O or anything like that, you know, or just put his pay cut down the line, you know, to, you know, sacrifice getting the fight with Billy Joe and beating Billy Joe and then getting the WBO belt. You know, that what would be probably the best thing to do. But who says he would do that? You know, Charlo's called him out. He did respond back to jermall Charlo. So that fight looks like it's going to be in fruition very soon. You know, and I can't wait to see that fight because jermall is a young, strong, hungry, hard, heavy-hitting guy coming from 154, which he was a champ there. Now he's a mandatory for, I believe it's the WBO for Golovkin. You know, but I don't think Golovkin will ever fight him. But I think Danny Jacobs will because these guys have previous beef on, you know, they got into it after a particular fight, after the Garcia and Rios fight. They got into it and they had words, and these words planted seeds, and these seeds are growing to eventually harvest to have a fight, okay? So I think these guys should get it on. I really do. I think that Danny Jacobs facing jermall Charlo, and I'm a fan of both. I really like both fighters because jermall is a young, strong, hungry lion, just like he reminds me of Clubber Lang from Rocky 3. He's just a young and he has a twin. You know what I mean? But he's the bigger of the twin or whatever. Oh, getting tired, but I think he's the bigger of the twin, and he's at 160. And he needs a defining fight. You know, Danny Jacobs is on that pedestal to give the opportunity for jermall Charlo to prove himself. You know what I'm saying? Because jermall Charlo knocked out Centeno. Centeno, I think, was 26-1. You know, but the problem is with Centeno, he was a guy that nobody heard of. You know what I'm saying? Nobody really heard of this guy. You know, and that would be a perfect opportunity if jermall Charlo got that fight. You know, but who's to say that fight will actually happen right now? You know what I mean? I don't know if it'll happen right now. It could go on to, he would have to go and fight someone like Lemieux, which Lemieux would be a good test because, you know, Lemieux is a guy that is very dangerous and hits hard as hell. And he's probably one of the hardest hitting middleweights we have right now. Like one punch, you know, like Deontay's like the hardest hitting one puncher in the heavyweights. Lemieux is the heaviest one punch middleweight we have available. So if he fought someone like that and got Lemieux out of there, that may, you know, ignite a buzz because at one point Lemieux wanted to fight Danny Jacobs. So a lot of these fights have been thrown around, and but like Danny Jacobs, if he beats jermall, that would only be getting jermall out of the equation. Okay, so, you know, but again, that's a fight that should happen, and I hope to happen pretty soon. You know, Big Baby Miller, you know, he did a pretty good job. He showed he had stamina. The guy is 305. He's way too big, in my opinion. He is way too big. You know, I don't know if it was strategy or just, you know, just slothfulness. You know what I'm saying? Not working enough, not being in good enough shape. You know, you can tell, well, he was against a guy named Dudapas, and Dudapas is a guy that almost made it out with Wilder. He got to the 11th round with Wilder, welling on him with them hooks and those savage blows. You know what I mean? With his palm and, you know, wrist and other parts of those damaging punches. So, you know, you already knew this guy was tough. So I'm glad, you know, Big Baby Miller's camp didn't tell him to go in and press the action and tire out his boy on top of 40 more pounds of weight. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that would have been a disaster for him because Dudapas was thumping him back. But we also know that Big Baby Miller, you know, he has decent power even at that, you know, even at that particular weight. You know, it should be big more if he's, since he's a bigger dude or whatever. So, but him calling out Joshua, it was a good move. He did exactly what Eddie Hearn told him to do. Because Eddie Hearns is in New York right now. You know what I mean? So, you know, everybody know that, you know, the negotiations for Joshua and Wilder, you know, they were canceled, you know, by Shelley, right? So, or Deontay Wilder's camp or management team, you know. But Big Baby Miller, I think, needs to come in a lot smaller if he wants to have a chance against someone like Joshua. Because someone like Joshua, he's never seen. He's never seen a big dude like that. You know, Dudapas was a big dude himself, but he wasn't a big dude that throwed power and had skill. He just had will. And that's what people deal with. You can't base what Miller's performance on is tonight or last night to what he could possibly do with Joshua. There's no comparison. He has to get in there or really lose weight and come in good condition. Not saying he couldn't knock out Joshua, but what I'm saying is Joshua, being the bulked up dude that he is, still has speed and a lot more speed than Big Baby Miller. So a guy like that, you know, he'd mop the floor with him. I feel, my opinion. You know what I mean? Because Big Baby Miller has a lot to learn as far as nutrition and discipline. You know what I'm saying? You know, I mean, it was a good move, again, to call out Anthony Joshua because, you know, that's who everyone wants to fight because they know they hear like everyone else hears on the negotiations of all the BS that stopped and was going on or whatever. So those guys were focused on trying to fight each other. But now it's time to move on. It's time to get to the next level of your career. And I think it would be a good fight for Joshua to fight Big Baby Miller. You know what I mean? Come to his home grounds, his backyard, and stomp him if he can, you know. And I don't think Big Baby Miller would make that easy. You know what I mean? So, but it does. But in another thing, it brings Joshua the opportunity to come to fight in the States. You know, then people are like, okay, he's at the Barclays Center. You know what I'm saying? And I know Deontay Wilder should be there. You know what I'm saying? And if he's not there this particular time, something's really weird. And I'm going to leave that where it's at because I've already done a video on that earlier today. But Miller looked impressive. He showed his stamina and he showed his heart because, you know, fatigue makes cowards of men. And he showed he was no coward tonight. So, you know, good job for Big Baby Miller. Good job. Great job for Danny the Miracle Man Jacobs because these guys won and they fought a fight that these weren't quote-unquote cherry-picking opponents. These guys were on the level. And that's how they should stay fighting, guys, on the level. Anyway, you guys tell me what you think about these particular fights. And, of course, please subscribe. Have a great weekend. And you guys been counterpunched. Peace.